everybody. Welcome back to Five Boys in a Business.
Start over, goofball.
A podcast where we talk about the family, the business, and the many shenanigans involved.
Yep.
I'm Emily King.
I'm Richie King.
And we have Harrison, who's going to be joining us on the couch in just a second.
Okay.
You can find us most Mondays, somewhere around 10 to 11. And you can consume the podcast on any of the podcast channels. Any place you consume podcasts. So, sorry, Harrison caught me off guard there at the beginning of the podcast. I was looking through pictures to refresh my memory of what we were going to talk about today. So, who wants to start off?
Well, I'll tell you.
Injury over here.
Well, we can talk about as we get into that today. Well, let's talk about
Talk about the elephant in the room.
What's that?
Talk about the elephant in the room.
Okay, so we haven't done a podcast in a while, and over July 4th weekend, we were in Tennessee and had some family down, Harrison, Madeline, and everybody else included. And
they're friends, Madeline and
they're
Harrison's
friends. And a few weeks before, our fourth boy, Johnny, had decided it'd be really cool to put a rope swing at next to the lake. And Emily and I spent a few hours down there trying to figure it out. Johnny burned up all my nice braided 10-pound fishing line with an arrow trying to get this rope over. So anyway, it turned a bit of an ordeal, but we finally got it up to something there, and it worked for him, but it wasn't great. But so the other boys, when they came down to the fourth, decided to improve upon it, and they spent some time down there doing it. And Harrison
multiple hours.
Harrison volunteered to test it out, and his first test swing went not great, but okay. Second test swing resulted in a pretty significant injury. So,
yep.
And Harrison proceeded to dislocate his shoulder and had to go to the ER and experience the healthcare at its finest in Roane County.
Hey, they were really good.
No, I'm not knocking it. No, I'm saying they're really good.
Yes.
They did nice. Great.
I want to give a shout out to Brandon, the nurse, the guy nurse that was there. He's never going to hear this podcast, but he was fantastic.
Yeah, he's a nice guy. Yeah, I mean, we spent hours down there trying to figure out the trajectory and if the rope was long enough, and so much so that we were moving trees, like big trees.
Oh yeah, they don't know. They move trees.
Let's hope. Like cutting down a tree.
So let's hope if Brandon doesn't listen to the TVA really doesn't listen to this podcast.
And then moving the tree with the jet ski. And then it was just a mess.
Okay, I don't know what adult was down there actually watching this whole thing.
I was down there watching.
I could have told when I saw the video of what happened. I was like, I could have told you this was going to end badly.
We were so sure that it was going to work.
Listen, we had an engineer down there. Bush was an engineer.
We were so sure.
Whatever.
Bush's reassurance helped me out a lot in terms of going and doing.
But see, when I did it with Johnny, I walked the rope down with my weight, and I was like, there's no way in hell this is going to work. Unless you have a platform you can stand on, it's not going to work because the rope stretches, the branch gives, and I'm like, you're going to hit the ground before you ever get to the water. Not you, but I'm saying when Johnny was doing it, and I was like, you don't have a tree over the water enough. The hill isn't steep enough. I was like, that's the problem. Or, alternatively, if you had a flat spot, and then you can swing out. I mean, but there's no great solution, and that's where.
Yep.
I mean, even if you look at it from the water, you go, this would probably work, but then it just doesn't. I mean, you don't. Yeah.
Well, I mean, we thought we tested it a lot. We threw the rope swing down, and the first time I did it, the tree was still...
You hit the ground.
The tree was still there. So let me paint a picture. When you go down to the lake at the house, there is a road that is kind of in a C formation, and it goes down one way, down the other way. And so it was on the ladder the other road behind the first one, and the hill is like fairly steep, at least we thought it was steep enough. And we had to cut down a tree in order to not run into that tree while going down it, while testing out the rope swing. So we cut it down, but when we cut it down, the tree got in the way of the path. And so we said, oh, whatever, it's fine. Let's just test it out and see what happens. So I tested out the first time, and I hit my shin on that tree. It hurt, but it was good, and I landed in the water, and I was like, okay, this actually could work, maybe. Turns out the tree was actually the thing that was saving me and making it so it basically broke my fall. Yeah. And so that's why.
The first time?
Yeah. So that's why the second time I go around and the tree is not there, and I twist and my left shoulder hits the ground, and then I kind of just spin into the water.
Yeah, it was bad.
So the ground dislocated your shoulder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
I thought the twisting motion.
No.
No. I hit the ground.
No, he hit the ground.
Jesus.
Yeah. But it's so funny though because
That's awful because to hit your shoulder on the ground.
well, no other part of my body hit the ground except my shoulder. Like it wasn't like the shoulder took my fall. It was just like I kind of just like I just ran into the ground and then spun into the water.
You know what sucks though is that
no other part of my body hit the ground.
We talk about these things. We talked about it with Johnny, and as an adult, I said, you're cynical as an adult, and you can see things that could happen. Now, 9 times out of 10, nothing's going to happen.
Right.
But it's that one time that you go, you don't want to stifle creativity or any of that stuff, but at the same time, I can see things happening. And Johnny is, when you're young like that, their first response is nothing's going to happen. Nothing's going to happen until it does.
Yeah.
And that's been always with my stuff is like, you got to be. It's just so you can see things coming a mile away as an adult.
Well, if the first one did not go nearly as well as it did, I would not have done it again.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and I just kept thinking, Bluish is an engineer. He's going to tell us if it's not going to work.
I
surely thought. No, he was invested too. I surely thought that I would. The ground was not low enough, especially once the tree was removed.
Yeah, but if you walked down to the water, couldn't you? If your shoulder hit the ground.
Yeah, that's what. It's just very weird. I think that
if you had walked it down and like been hanging on it and going, this isn't going to work. I mean, I'm going to have to.
Well, we didn't do that.
That's what I did with Johnny. I was like, you can swing out around to try and get, altitude basically to make it out over the water. But if you go straight down, you're going to hit the ground way at this length. You're going to hit the ground way before you ever get to the water.
Well, that's what.
Not you. I'm sorry, Johnny's.
Right. Well, we were thinking about doing that, and we've talked about this before, but there were so many signs that we should not have continued.
There were so many signs.
So God put that tree there.
Yeah.
Just they don't do it. But you guys decided.
No, that wasn't even the start.
Torpedoes.
That wasn't even the start.
So me and Holden were the main ones working on this rope swing, and we were cutting down this tree. We used the hatchet that eventually broke, and then
no, back up.
And then we used
it's a hatchet I've had for like 15 years.
Yeah,
and it's not really a hatchet; it's a throwing.
Okay, well, whatever.
So it didn't. It broke all right. The entire blade cracked in half.
Holden told me it was a hatchet, so I was like, oh, whatever. And then we used a handsaw to cut down the tree. That probably took like a solid 45 minutes to an hour. And the reason why it took that long was because we were going, we were hitting the tree really hard, trying to get it down, and then all of a sudden we started getting stings everywhere, and we didn't know what they were, and so we were like,
the hornet's nest. God's up there going, I gave you a bunch of signs. I sent a tree. I sent hornets.
Well, at first we were like, Holden got one sting, and I was like, that's weird. He was like, yeah, dude, it's really hurt. I was like, well, whatever, just come back down, it's fine. And then we kept going at it, and then maybe like a few minutes later, all of a sudden we're just like, and like, we run up the hill and we're like, what the heck was it? And I'm getting like stung everywhere. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And Calvin's like, and he's getting stung, and so it's happening everywhere. My mom's trying to like pat Calvin down, like stop
throwing him in the water.
Yeah.
And
it was. So we got stung, and funny enough, I got stung 4 times. I got stung on my hand, the front of my right leg, the back of my right leg, and then on my pec right here. But it was just like a half a sting, so it's not even a thing. But they've been itching this week, which is funny.
Those things can be gnarly, though, man.
Holden's hand swelled up.
Yeah, it was
his ankle swelled. It's sore.
And so then we look down, and there's just a swarm of these hornets
around the tree
on the ground. Yeah,
there's a swarm of them, and so.
Legit on the ground, or
on the ground.
Yeah,
there's
around the tree.
Yeah.
There's a swarm of them down there, and so we got some.
Spray.
It's funny is that you would have thought that we would have stopped. Like I don't know what overcame me to do this. I think it's one of those.
I wish I'd have been down. I was like, everybody go upstairs. Go back up there.
I think it's one of those things where you're just so invested, and there's a chance of it possibly working. That if it does work, it could be so cool.
Yes, but what is the payoff though? That's what I don't understand.
Is that
it worked. It was going to be so cool.
I don't know, man.
And so
we conquered.
And so we got wasp spray. Or hornets, or whatever.
I wonder why that was down there.
Sprayed it all. We used the entire can. Sprayed it all down there, and then we eventually cut down the tree by hooking up the 4-wheeler or whatever it's called to the tree, and then driving.
That's how you guys did it.
Yeah, driving it down the hill.
You guys, you're all fired.
It wasn't a clean cut. So
No, it wasn't a
Mom-
clean cut.
So mom got a jet ski, got on the lake, and tied the tree to the jet ski.
I wonder why the hell the ski rope was attached to the freaking thing.
And then
That jet ski's
and
brand new.
and then
gosh.
eventually I did my second run, and I ended up just
Biffing it.
Yeah, just
I'm sure the neighbors are like,
What was the other?
in
We had
hell?"
like all these signs, and we went back and thought about it.
And
We
what's
thought
funny-
it was
well-
the Hornets, it was the axe breaking, it was the.
the.
I feel like there were other
we had
things
to
too.
we had to redo it once.
Yeah,
And it was just bad. I
That's
mean,
just bad.
and what's funny is that as soon as I got into the water, I knew that it was not like typical shoulder injury.
Oh, you were in agony.
Oh, I knew that I was just like, nope, this isn't right. Because
When they brought you up there, I remember going,
I tried bending it down. And I couldn't
Emily
do it.
doesn't move quickly usually for injuries, and she was moving quickly. I was like, oh no, this is bad. And you guys, when we helped you into the car with the life jacket on and your arm up, I was like, oh God.
Well, everybody was moving quickly, and honestly, everybody said I took like a champ.
you did.
So didn't cry.
Yep.
So
It was. Yeah, it was.
Was it immediate?
Sarah Beth was kudos to Sarah Beth.
Yeah.
She was very helpful.
I think it's one of those things where at first it's like it hurts, and then you start to think like, oh God, like I'm in the water, my life vest is half undone, and I have to get out somehow.
Yeah.
And Mom's over here like, no, step on the jet ski, I'll get you out. I'm like, Mom, please, I can't. And then I start laughing just because of how ridiculous it is, and then the pain sets back in. I'm like, oh no. But
Was it immediate relief when you woke up?
oh yeah,
Oh yeah, you could see it on his face.
yeah.
It was just like
Because when you came in with the
he
sling,
he
you're
actually
just
fell
like,
asleep. He was falling asleep, and
Yeah.
at the hospital, and when he was, they were like, it was going to take like 3 minutes to do, but they wanted Sarah Beth and I to leave the room, so we left, and they still didn't call me back, and they still didn't call me back, and then over the speaker I hear this code stroke, and I'm like, oh hell, what is going on? And so then I went to the lady and I was like, can you just tell me, because I had given myself a time frame. I'm like, all right, if they don't come and get me in 15 minutes, I'm going to go say something. And then that code stroke thing came on over the head, and I was like, oh, just
I did
horrible
that.
things started coming into my
Right.
head. So then I go to
know
the lady
that.
and I'm like, you need to go find out if he's okay. That's all I care about. I don't need to be back there. I just need to know he's okay.
Right.
And then she comes back. She's like, you can go back there. And I go back there, and he's like asleep. Like it's like just immediate relief. Yeah, exactly. He was just like asleep.
it was nice. It was, I mean, yeah.
So it
It
was,
sucks. Those kinds of events, it's funny. That's what makes life so interesting, but so terribly painful too. at
and
the
Sarah
same
Beth
time.
was just so fantastic and
Yeah.
so kind and so willing to put herself out there and be like, he needs more pain meds. Like
Yeah.
he was like,
Yeah,
She was-
perfect.
She was good. Yeah, because I have not been in that much pain for that amount of time in a very long time. Because usually I'm so
when were
used
you in that
you-
amount of pain before?
Because usually, well, I would say the most recently the rope swing, but
Oh,
when
with your back.
with my back, yeah. But
Oh.
I fell off because with that, like it eventually subsides and I'm okay.
Just
Like,
like a
I
constant pain.
I can deal with it and like it goes away, right? Like I'm good. But with this, like I'm waiting for that like moment, but like it's not coming, and it didn't come for like an hour and a half, 2
Yeah.
hours.
3.
3 hours, and so I'm sitting
Yeah.
there with my hand above my head with it hurts like crazy, and the drugs definitely helped. But once the first they gave me a round of drugs, I don't know, maybe like as soon as I
Yeah.
got there, like 30
Yeah.
minutes after I got there,
Right.
and an hour later those wore off, so I had to get more of those, and once they wore off it really started to hurt again, and so I had to get more drugs.
Why did it take 3 hours?
They had to call in
Yeah.
the nurse anesthetist.
Oh,
So they had to call in her, which took a while, and it was just a mess, man.
Yeah.
I don't want to. Yeah.
So anyway, Sarah Beth and occupied him talking about The Bachelor, and it was hilarious listening to those two talk about The Bachelor. They were like, "Oh yeah, I can't stand this guy," and then she'd be like, "Oh yeah, so and so, yeah, and they were going back and forth like all these characters back and forth for like at least an hour talking about The Bachelor. So that was a great
Yeah.
distraction.
that's crazy.
But yeah, she was just absolutely wonderful.
Yeah, she'll
God, I
be
go-
really good at it. She'll be really
She's
good.
I,
gonna be-
I
yeah.
could not have. Oh man, when we were on the way to the hospital, I wanted to get there so badly, but we got behind some of the slowest cars possible. Oh my gosh!
Those
I almost
people
yelled
were
out
on,
the
like, a
window.
Sunday
I
drive.
almost yelled out the window. I was like, "Get out of the way, please!"
You could always put your hazards on, just go around.
Yeah. Well, we did that once we got to the 2-lane road.
And just blast it, just
But
say-
you couldn't. There was nowhere.
Ugh.
I mean, if you have an emergency situation like that, I would just put your
Yeah.
hazards on, beep, and then go
Well,
around.
all I
them.
kept thinking was, great, I'll get in a car accident, and then we're all in
Yeah.
trouble. So
Yeah.
anyway,
But now I'm doing okay.
now you're doing great.
I'm doing okay.
So
They popped it back in place. The aching and whatnot has subsided, but is it
tight?
It's very tight when I lift it up like that.
Don't do that.
And honestly, like, I mean, it doesn't. I mean, I think the physical therapy will definitely help. The doctor gave me 2 options. I could either do physical therapy or do surgery. And the worst part about these types of injuries is that you never know if / when it'll dislocate again. And so,
well, assuming because you tore your labrum, you have to.
Yeah, so I tore my and the labrum is a special kind of tissue that is inside of your socket that holds it specifically in place so that you have that range of motion, and that it doesn't fall out of place. So, yep.
So there it is.
Gonna undergo physical therapy for a few weeks, see how that goes, and if that doesn't go well, then we'll get surgery.
You know what's interesting is there's so many people that have had their shoulders dislocated.
There's a decent amount, and some of them don't. Well, not even their shoulder dislocated, but some of them have had their labrums torn without even dislocation, and they don't even know it until they go in. You know, and they tell them, which I think that's worse. I think if you tear your labrum and your shoulder's out of socket, or it's in socket, I think that's worse.
Yeah,
it doesn't seem like a very uncommon thing.
Right.
Which got me thinking. Last summer, I was on the tube and I fell off in a wonky way, and I hurt my shoulder a little bit, and it still hurts like to this day when I'm doing anything with my shoulder with weights and whatnot, and it's super minor pain, like it's it kind of feels weird, whatever. I wonder if I did something to like my rotator cuff or something like that.
Maybe.
I don't know.
I did that something years ago in college. I was doing one of those kinds of with dumbbells, and ever since then I've always had to be really careful.
Yeah,
because it's stupid. Like I remember doing that, and I went to do something like make my bed, and I'm like fluffing the sheets. It hurts.
That's what I'm worried about is like doing like the bed or reaching over to doing something in a weird way, and then it
Well, but the good news though is your level of fitness is pretty high. I mean, so it's not as if.
And I've read a bunch of stories of people saying, I didn't get physical therapy, or I didn't do surgery. I just did intense physical therapy for a long time and started lifting heavier weights to build that muscle and tissue around my shoulder, and it's been fine for years now. And so I think
possible.
I think the fact that I already have some solid muscle around my shoulder helps. I don't know if the way that I dislocated it helps at all, but
it is what it is. And I think the important thing is just to focus on what you have to do to make it better.
You now, like me, are the permanent boat driver.
Yep.
No more boating activities for you.
No.
Well, you might be able to like wake surf because you don't have to hold on to a rope.
I can
stuff like that, like where you don't have to hold something that extends your arms.
No, but you could. But if your arm though, I mean, if you wake surf, you're going the
5 miles, 7 miles.
The wave is basically propelling you.
Yeah,
you're not being pulled.
I think I could probably wakeboard if I want to, but I think tubing was already on the way out anyway.
Yeah,
you get to an age where that's not fun anymore because it's only fun when you're getting beat up, and after a while. I remember one of the last times I tubed, we were on Syracuse Lake, and then I think Jim Dawson was pulling or something. Somebody was pulling. We went around, and I hit a wave and flipped off and hit my back and landed on my back and skimmed. And then I remember I was like, I'm done. I mean, it was just too.
Yeah,
too intense.
I'm more inclined to go do like the rope swing on that one island or go cliff jumping or something like that.
Yeah, I could see cliff jumping. No more rope swinging.
I can rope swing off the one at the island. I'm not gonna hurt myself.
You could.
Not if I go.
Well, if you hold it, like I saw a guy go off and he basically held it. You go off and then you're holding it like this, the rope.
Yes, your arms aren't extended.
Yeah, so you hold it and then you let go.
Yeah, I don't know.
But then all the kids, it's so funny because I took Holden's friends over there, and it was just hysterical because you don't realize how high up you get at that swing. And one of the girls, I forget which one, because I was taping them all to give to Holden, and she gets out there and she gets out over the water and she goes, "Holy shit!" And it fell into the water. It's great.
Yeah, I've told myself though that I'm pretty nervous to do anything now with my shoulder. I mean, it can be anything. So I think that just building up that confidence very slowly.
Well, that'll take time. A few years from now.
It's very similar to. It's not as extensive or not as extreme, but very similar to my hamstring or when I pulled my hamstring a while back. I did it once and I did it again, and I was like, oh god. I was like, okay.
Although that goes away. I remember when I had my knee surgery, like when we'd go work out, I never ran, I never did anything like that.
Yeah.
And you'll slowly start to test it. And I mean, I'll run now. I mean, I'll like run a loop like yesterday, and I can do that. It doesn't.
Yeah. I mean, I just definitely with certain movements, and it happens rarely, but it still does happen. I'll feel it
Your hamstring?
If I do something like maybe at basketball, I take a wrong step or something, like it'll just like, I don't know. I can feel it.
But I mean, some of those, I mean, that's what's interesting is that certain activities like that, if you don't do them all the time, I mean, those movements like that, that's how guys, tear their Achilles because they would go play ball and they would play ball.
And what I did with my hamstring was I stopped doing basketball for a very long time. With my hamstring, and I went to the weight room and I just focused on building up my legs and whatnot, and I feel like that really helps. So I think I'm gonna take that same
long term. That'll give you way more benefit than.
So I think I'm gonna do that with my arm or with my shoulder.
And I mean, and the good news is that you'll reach a certain age where you're really not trying to. You're just trying to maintain your fitness level. I mean, if you want to maintain your weight or whatever, and weight training is great for that,
right?
For your joint health and all that stuff. So that'll help you way better than like playing basketball. So
I'm very interested to see what this physical therapy is tomorrow.
Yeah,
they'll push you a little bit.
I know,
but it's okay. I mean, they're there to make for you to make progress.
Right.
So it's not going to be comfortable necessarily, but they won't hurt you either.
Think so. Oh yeah. Well,
where are you going for physical
just
therapy?
to the Ortho Indy down the street.
Oh, in Ortho Indy, they have people there. That's cool.
At the Ortho Indy, they have the urgent care, and then right next to that building, or part of that building, but cut off, is physical therapy.
Where is it at now?
It's right down the street.
At the Riverview Hospital, right there.
Yeah, right down there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So
very cool.
Keep everybody updated.
There you go.
So yeah, it was lots of events.
But you were such a good sport, and your friends were there, and you still helped them have a great weekend.
Oh yeah, I think that it's nice to be able to go on the boat and the jet. Like I did miss just like at the end of the day being able to go into the water and hang out with all of them on the banana tube or something like that. Like that's obvious, but I more look forward to the end of the night where we're all drinking and having fun.
Yeah,
and just
playing games and
getting
visiting
blasted.
and Thank you guys. Your crew doesn't really do that. They're not like
we don't come up like I don't walk out in my coffee and see Bluish laying naked in the back.
Yeah, exactly. You guys aren't like big partiers.
Yeah, we're very tasteful about it most of the time, I'd say. But I look forward more to that than most of the stuff.
Yeah,
you don't even hear about that hardly anymore. Parties like that where crazy things happen. I mean, in our kids' peer group, it just doesn't. I don't remember having parties like that or being at parties like that.
Right.
But yeah.
So
then we had another interesting thing. There's always a Traeger story. Every time we go to Tennessee, there's a Traeger story. And this last time was no different, where it's funny how we've used our Traeger so much that I can tell when something's not right.
Yep.
And we had gone there, and sometimes if things go wrong, it tends to catch on fire. So you got to be careful.
As per Traeger, yep.
So anyway, so it was funny because I went out there and we had turned it on, and
no, Emily turned it on. I just turned it.
I wasn't going to say that. But, so Emily, she and on our older unit, you have to turn it to smoke first, let it actually ignite, and then you turn it to the temp.
Right.
And I think we were all in a hurry, and Emily just turned it straight to 350. And I went out there and been on for like 45 minutes. It's still stuck at like 150. I was like, that's weird, So I shut it down, and I turned it back on to smoke. And then it freaking just started smoking like I was like, hey, something ain't right. So I ended up turning it off. I went to lift it. The kicker was I was going to go turn it off, and I had the broom handle, and I was about to lift it up, and the top goes, whoa. I was like, whoa, what was that? So I just turned it off real quick, let it calm down. Then I lifted it, and it was just smoke everywhere. And the fire pot, there were so many pellets. The fire pot was overflowing. There were like cups of the. So I had to clean all that out and then restart it, and it was fine.
Yeah,
that's funny.
But I forget because when you go between the two Traegers, the one Traeger,
right,
you set the temperature and you start it, and the other Traeger you have to do smoke first and let it do that, and then you turn
Which
it to the temperature.
I like so much better.
I like the old one better. It's
just
much
simpler.
faster for one,
and it doesn't. And for whatever reason, it's like the new one you can do all this crap. It's like I don't need all that stuff. I don't need to do it in 5-degree increments. Just quarters, 325, 350. It doesn't have to be. So it's so anyway, we use that one a lot and have used a lot down there, and the product that it kicks out is just fantastic. So can't say enough about Traeger. Use it several times every week.
Yep.
So
the other fun thing was that Calvin skied.
Oh, Calvin skied and wakeboarded.
Yeah.
And he did
loved
that.
the skiing.
And then he finally starts going. It's funny because he's out there and he's such a timid kid anyway. And he finally gets up on the skis. And then he's just behind the wake, and then he's like, we go for like 100 yards, and he drops. I'm like, what are you doing? Well, there were waves coming. I was like, you have to go over them. I'm going to knock them down a little bit. But then anyway, he starts to venture out, and he starts venturing out outside the wake.
And he was so low to the ground, and he was like,
Yeah.
he was like side to side. It was.
But then he got up on the wakeboard, which I was like, that is amazing.
Yeah.
That he was able to do that. So
It was funny because you guys came back on the dock, and he knew we were coming back, but he didn't look at us. So he took one arm. He took one arm off, and he just like didn't look at us, but just
waved.
and went back to.
The last night when we were there with Holden and Evelyn, he dabbed when they came by.
oh, did he?
Yeah, so he was like, he came by the pier, and then he was like,
God. Jeez.
When he
was
let go, he
hilarious.
goes towards and I'm like, let go, because he was gonna, ride
drifted
into the
to
dock,
the dock.
and he fell. I mean, he about 10 yards out, but I was like, oh my God, please don't.
He's like, I'm not gonna hit the dock, and I'm like, until you do.
Until you
was
do
like,
hit it.
So
yeah, we had fun. That was a lot of fun. Gosh, what else did we do? Fireworks.
Yeah.
Lots of fireworks.
It's a really. Oh man!
I was
and honestly,
determined to
that
get through all those fireworks.
That weekend was hilarious because not only did I dislocate my shoulder, but during the fireworks, we're lighting off the fireworks and whatnot, and we look over and the trash bag that we put on the fireworks is on fire. We're like, "Whoa, somebody!" And so we're like, I'm just joking,
Well,
like,
okay,
freaking
so-
out. And
so-
Calvin's running over there, kind of like giggling with the water, trying
we were, because I was taking all the spent fireworks and throwing them in a bag just to keep track of them all.
Yeah.
Well, we had them out on the other driveway. They
Yeah.
were out in the bag. On
Yeah,
the
so it was just
driveway.
in the yard, but it was funny because they, I saw it smoke and I was like, whatever. And then I would look out, it's like this flame licking through. Like, whoa.
We took our bucket of water.
Yep.
Yeah, and we had these mortars, and it was like 85 mortars or something. So, and I was like, we're not going to get through these by 10 o'clock. So I started tying like 4 and 5 of them together and blasting them off.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was a good time.
So it
But
was
that's
fun.
you know what? That's how people's houses catch on fire.
Oh hell yeah, it
Is
is.
they put that stuff in the trash can and it's
Uh.
next to the house.
That's not surprising.
and
that
then-
happened recently here, didn't it?
Yeah, I don't know if it was because of fireworks, but that's what happened to their house. It was
Yeah.
their trash can caught on fire that sits next to the house.
Good God.
Yeah.
Oof.
So
Great weekend.
It was a great weekend. Everybody had a good time, and people look forward to coming to the lake house. So, it's funny because all these accidents that I know of are happening, but Bluish texted us the other day. My friend Christopher Bluish, she texted me or yesterday, me and Casey, and he said, "Hey guys, I guess things happen in threes, huh? I fell through my my ceiling in the garage today, and I laid it on a shelf. I only have a bruise on my butt though, so everything's fine."
How do you do that?
So I'm
He
like,
fell
it's okay.
through
So
the-
what are you doing? Are you walking on unreinforced like drywall? And he was like, yeah, I guess I just wasn't thinking and stepped on it. And he sent us a picture, and there's just
Like
a
this gaping
2 foot
hole.
There's a 2 foot hole in his ceiling, and right below the ceiling, you see the shelf that broke his fall, and the door is just like it's super sad hanging off, just like. It was hilarious.
That happened in our- that happened in
happened to
our-
my dad. My graduation party. I think it was someone's high school graduation party. I feel like, and he was up in the ceiling on Royce Court, and
In
he
the
just
attic?
stepped. Yeah, in the attic. He was getting something. I don't know if it was a cooler or something, chairs or something up there.
Uh-huh.
And he just stepped to the side, and his one leg went all the way through, and it just rammed
Break
the
his cut.
muscle right up his leg, and he had like it just like tore the muscle. It was disgusting.
Yeah, but that's weird though, because I thought there was a wood floor up there.
There is, but I think that he stepped to the side of it or something. Something happened, and I don't remember. I'm probably not remembering the story
Dad
correctly.
didn't have
but
a lot
anyway.
of luck there, did he?
Yeah, and so he just
Fell
fell,
off the
through
ladder?
the ceiling basically on that. He fell off the ladder. Yeah, the lights. Yeah, but
Bad.
That's a terrible. I mean, it's a terrible story, but the visualization. I was like, can you imagine me going down the street and you're just going home 126 and see some dude there putting on lights and go wham! Like, whoa, what was that all about?
Yeah.
oh gosh,
Was it on ice?
yeah, it was snowy out that day. I feel like it was snowy
That's
that
when
day.
you go,
I feel like that's when it was. I feel like it was. Maybe it wasn't. He'd have to tell us. I don't
That's
remember.
bad.
Yeah. So there's all kinds of
That's funny.
Ugh.
My God.
stories that way. I'm sure everybody else listening has those kind of stories. Feel like that's
Maybe with
you know
my-
what there was some kind of research that says that you remember the things that are really hard like that, like they're your war stories, like you know what
Sure.
I mean, like
Yeah.
they're the way that you
You forget the mundane.
yeah like
you know?
that you bring like that people like that's what caused you to stick together was working through something hard or a hard
Sure.
event or something like that.
Well, it's probably so because like there's power in numbers, right? I mean, when you think about how people used to divide up labor back in the day, I mean, men would do this, women would do this. And it was efficient because the many hands make less work, kind of thing, and that it's easier to go hunting as a group than it is one dude out there.
Right.
So I'm sure that teamwork and that victory and that you bring this and then all that stuff.
Yeah, and that's what you remember when you sit around the fire telling stories. You talk about, I remember that day when it was so hard and we all
the camaraderie.
Yeah,
that collective camaraderie. And they talk about in the military these guys that serve and they're just tight, super tight because they went through something stressful and came out of it and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So,
Madeline asked me what the worst pain I felt before my shoulder was, and I said probably my ankle.
When
I
you were
twisted.
playing, after like a night.
You've had it rough,
night.
She said, did you? And I probably should have gone somewhere for that. And then it's fine now, but it was really bad. That really hurt.
It's weird how
That's
those
the
injuries
worst one
though.
I've done.
I remember spraining my ankle really bad in college, and it was never really the same. That foot was always a little bit bigger. I want it probably not quite a half size, but I mean,
my left
shoes
ankle
are
is
always
definitely
tighter.
bigger than my right one, but I don't notice anything strength-wise that's wrong with it.
I remember showing this is another funny dad story. I remember showing that to my dad, and he goes, "Son, that's bad. Take some vitamin C."
Take some vitamins.
I go, "Is it broken?" He goes, "I don't know. Can't tell." Vitamin C.
Oh gosh.
My dad's.
Let me tell you this.
I remember one time I went to my dad begrudgingly took me to the ER because I was having terrible abdominal cramps, which is a whole nother story how I got abdominal cramps. But we were in the ER and the doctor's like, "Well, your body's trying to process all the stuff and just take out." And my dad goes, "Nothing a shot of Jack Daniels would fix, huh?" And I go, "I'm 14."
Jesus.
So it was he was never, his bedside manner was always a bit brusque. So,
Son, we'll get you home.
get you some vitamin C.
Get you a shot of JD.
JD. How'd that happen? Oh God.
Oh, gosh.
And then this weekend we put up posts in my backyard for the eventual lights that'll be hung up there.
Okay, I have to toot my own horn. That went up like a champ.
Yeah, that concrete is amazing. The funniest part though is just Holden and Dad going at it. They're just talking to each other and razzing each other the entire time.
That'd be Holden going after this guy. I'm over there working, doing nothing. I'm not.
It was very funny.
We can give you an example of Holden's and Dad's. I've got something that's a really good example of of how Holden goes after Dad with his
verbal barbs.
His verbal barbs. Hold on. Let's see if I can find. Okay, wait. Let's see if I have to find it. Hold on. See if I can. Okay, so this is Holden. Okay, this is Holden.
It's
Holden.
funny because they will both say the same thing, but then keep arguing about the same thing when when they agree on the same thing.
Yes, it's really funny. So this is Holden. Holden had the idea of, I'm going to sit on the dock on the wakeboard and go from the dock.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And Dad's going to pull me off the dock. Evelyn's going to spot. Evelyn's on the
It
back.
took like 4 times because he kept falling. And
Okay, so this is him.
you're the worst driver ever.
This is him talking. I think this is. I don't know if anybody can. Can everybody see the picture?
Just put it up to the microphone. They can listen to it.
There's Holdy sitting. They can't see the
Put it up to
picture.
the microphone.
Okay.
They can see it. Right here, I can do it.
Okay, so let me see if this is the one. Okay, let's listen.
Go. Go.
Okay, wait. Here he goes.
Fuck me. I'm fucking falling off. No, I'm not. Pull it back a little bit. Oh my God. You see this? Okay. Holy shit. You know, turn the damn jet ski off. Turn the jet ski off. What the? Son, what are you doing? I'm trying to, stop, go forward, bitch. Yeah, I know I can't because I'm falling off the dock. Gosh, you believe this? Oh my gosh, I ain't put it on the plate again, Red.
God, that's so funny.
I don't know, bitch.
I don't know, bitch.
All right, Relax. I would fall off right there. All right. Yeah.
And then he goes, and then he got it. Oh
God.
God.
Well, the problem is I'm trying to take the tension off the rope.
Calvin thought that was
And
so
he just
funny.
he kept putting it on the grommet or the cleat.
The cleat.
So
Yeah.
and then he would, and as soon as he put it on the cleat, it would catch and then pull me back a little bit. So I'm trying to. I was like, just get in the water. You could have been down here already.
That's pretty similar to what was happening at my house.
Oh gosh.
Oh my God!
Very
He was
funny.
like, "Why aren't you digging?" I was like, "I did. I'm." God.
Oh man! And then his dad said he had to pace himself, and then as soon as Dad said that, he's
Then Holden was gonna, yeah.
Holden went after him, and Dad would dig for a minute, and he'd sit there. Hey, you guys want to hear a story about my dad about what time we were digging holes? Okay, really? Okay. And then he'd tell a story, and then he'd go back to digging.
Hey, we got it done.
And it looks good.
And I will tell you though, that dirt got incredibly hard about 18 inches down, and I don't know why. I mean, it just got concrete dirt. I mean, concrete hard. I mean, you couldn't break it up hardly at all and it was rocky, but I mean,
then you found the rock that was smooth by glacier ice that you had
I
to
said
tell
it was a
him about.
glacier rock. The kids were like not impressed at all. I said, "Look at that," and they go, "Oh, here we go. Here we
This
go."
is the dad thing. This is the dad thing.
Yes.
He likes to tell stories
No,
when
but
he
it
finds
was funny
things.
because Holden's face said it all. Because Dad was like, "Look at this," and no, as soon as Dad said that, Holden was like,
There we
"Oh,
go.
God, everybody put on your thinking caps because class is in session."
Oh gosh.
I probably, what's so funny is I say those things and I'm probably completely wrong. I'd probably get a geologist and he goes, "No, that came from a quarry down the street." See that little IMI on it? Yeah.
Never know.
You never know. Exactly. Oh goodness gracious. Too
I
funny.
remember once I went hiking and we were in not Virginia, we're in Kentucky at Red River Gorge, and we were hiking in. They're known for their sandstone, and we were hiking on this, and we saw this sandstone kind of outcropping, and in the outcropping you could see these little round quartz pebbles, and I was like, that is fascinating because that has to be hundreds of millions of years old.
Right.
And it turns out that actually was the product of an ancient lake out of Pennsylvania.
Right.
And that's why an ancient sea, and it would flow down the Appalachians. What?
I know. I'm laughing at it. I got to tell a funny story after this.
So anyway, that stuff fast because it makes you feel small.
Yeah.
It makes you go, this is.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you see what's right in front of you, but this has been something that's been here for,
Right.
I mean, more time than you could possibly imagine.
Right. This is completely unrelated, but I thought of this and I wish I would have gotten it on video somehow. But yours truly likes to take baths, right?
Yes, you do.
Okay. Still do. Put a little bit of suds in there,
Right.
Spruce it up a little bit. You know what I mean?
So you like to take bubble baths?
Sit there.
Okay.
Sit there with your phone. Check Twitter. It is a lovely time. And funny enough, I have a bath table thing on the wedding registry. So if anybody's
you
listening,
do?
if
On the
anybody's
wedding
listening on the
registry. It's not
you
for
can-
Madeline,
No,
it's for Harrison.
No, you can place some food on there with some your iPad. It's really nice.
I can totally see Madeline walking into the bathroom. He forgets to lock the door, and he looks up, and he's got a suds
No,
beard.
Madeline has done that.
He's got suds on his hair, beard.
Madeline's walked in just to check in, just to make fun of me all the time. But what is
Justifiably so, by the way.
what is funny is that recently I've been taking a lot of baths because it helps my shoulder significantly. I'll take a bath, I'll get out, and I have way more range of motion in my shoulder.
Yeah, you heat it up.
Yeah. But after I got back from your guys' place after dinner, I came back to take a bath, but I really had to take a poop. Okay.
Okay, where's this going?
So I went to
Just give a stab of poop in the tub.
I went to our.
Don't let Madeline walk in on that. Oh God, I don't want to marry you anymore.
Totally me and Madeline. So I'm thinking to myself, I don't want to take a poop in the guest bathroom, which is where our bath is, because I'm going to take a bath and it's going to smell like poop the entire time. I go to the master bathroom, take a poop, which it was large. Okay, and it stinks. So I go. So
So you leave,
So
and she comes in and goes,
so
"Really?"
So afterwards, I shut the door. No vent or anything. I go to the guest bathroom. Okay.
I can see this going. She's gonna come in there.
No, I go to the guest bathroom, and it smells nice. I turn on the bath water, or whatever, I let it go, and I get in. I'm sitting there completely vulnerable with my phone. She storms in. She's like, "Harrison." She says, I wish I would have got this on video. She said, Harrison, did you really just take It's so funny. I wish I would have gotten it on tape. She said, Harrison, did you really just take a shit in the master bathroom? and then leave. So it wouldn't stink in the guest bathroom. At this point, I'm cracking up. I'm like, yes. And she's like, you didn't even turn on the vent or anything. And I was like, no. And she's like, I have to take a shower. I was like, well, I don't know what to tell you. And she was like, you're disgusting.
Okay, this is a video that Calvin and I. This is somewhat related.
Oh God!
Listen. These two daughters are live doing a live stream.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
and their mom busts in.
Yeah, put it up more to the microphone.
It's off. The girl's like, we're live.
It's so funny though, just because that is totally me. That is totally me and Madeline. You know what I mean? Like after she said that, I was laughing. I said, she said, can you hang the clock up in the bed? She said before I did all this, she asked, hey, can you hang the clock up in the backyard? And I said, I don't know if I want to do it tonight, babe. I was like, I'll do it like sometime this week. She's like, ugh, it's not that hard. I was like, yeah, I know, but she's like, fine. And after that happened, she was like, you're definitely putting the clock up now. I was like,
that is so freaking funny. Oh my God.
That happens all the time. And
Oh my God!
That's what makes life so funny.
I was in my office yesterday morning, and I found this channel actually called Odd Tinkering, and it's just this guy, no voiceover or anything. He puts up subtitles throughout the video of just his thoughts and whatnot. But he buys this junk stuff that he restores, and a lot of it is like retro consoles or like retro or
Really?
handhelds or stuff like that. Like he restored it most recently. He restored a Xbox 360, like an OG Xbox 360, back to its original form, and it looks brand new. It's so satisfying to watch. Anyway, I was sitting in there watching one of his videos, just waking up, and Madeline starts cooking breakfast, and we had bacon and eggs and whatnot. And I go out into the living room, and it is just like smoke, like just white smoke fills the room. I'm like, what are you doing? She was like, well, I turned on the vent, but I'm not cooking it all the way. There's 4 pieces on the pan. It's just getting too hot, Harrison. I was like, okay, well, whatever. But that's totally our Sunday morning. Yeah.
It is interesting though,
very
watching
funny.
those restoration videos, because I've been watching this guy called the boat guy or that boat guy or something. He'll go buy older boats or older motors and then restore them, and a lot of times it just they need to be cleaned or something stupid. And it's interesting to watch these guys do those somewhat complex tasks. But then you'll watch it and you'll go, you do this for a living or something. This is way too easy, what you're doing. But it's so cool to see them go buy something for $500.
Well, this guy,
and actually they're taking it on the water and it looks great.
I mean, this guy buys like these consoles are no more than $10 sometimes. He bought a Game Boy SP for $2.
How does he restore it, like electronically?
He just knows what to do. He's a genius at this
Wow,
stuff.
that's cool,
I don't know
though.
what he does. Like he has all these things that he does. Where he'll take it apart. The board is there. He'll look at the board, knows what's wrong with the board. He'll clean it with isopropyl alcohol, and do a bunch of other things. Like this Game Boy SP, like the top of it was cracked off. They're just so he had to end up buying a replacement case, but he knew what to do, and like it's impressive. And these consoles
That's cool.
are disgusting. Like
I need to find a guy that restores old beds and send him Holden's bed that he took a hunk out of,
Yeah.
like antique
Jeez.
bed. So
Oh,
there's a cool British show on I think it's Netflix. It's called The Fix It Shop. I think it's called The Fix It Shop, and it's people will bring stuff in, and these people will restore it back to new, like it's heirlooms, things like that. Or some of the things they bring in, I'm like, how on earth are you going to fix that? And they'll go in, and it's amazing to watch them take these things that are just destroyed or in a terrible state of disrepair and restore it back to its working condition and everything. It's really cool.
What is funny? What is so weird? And I did not know this. There are 2 things actually. One is that a lot of these things that he gets are very yellow, right? Just because of the weathering and aging of whatever. It used to be gray or it used to be white, and now it's just yellow. He put it in this tub of something. I don't know what it was. And he had these UV lights around the tub, and it was wrapped in tin foil. and he turned it on, and in like an hour, because it said like an hour later, it's just back to like what it usually was.
It's
I
probably
wonder if it's
whitening.
oxidizing
It's
or
Yeah.
so weird. And then another thing of what he did was, on the Game Boy Advanced that he had, or the Game Boy Advance that he had, one of the is it I don't know if it's capacitor, but the thing that the battery that holds the battery in, like the aluminum part, I don't know what it's called. It had some corrosion on it, and it lost some of its coloring, and it needed some of that aluminum back, or whatever it's coated in. And so he ended up putting the piece into this bucket of something with, I think, something attached to it.
It's an electrode.
And then he put the a little thing of aluminum into the bucket with something attached to it, turned them on, and then the thing just,
Yeah, they do that with
Yeah.
it was I'd never seen anything like it
Yeah,
before.
that's all like electrodes and
yeah,
stuff.
they would.
I was shocked.
Yeah.
I did not know this revelation. It's like when it's like when a record plays. Like I've played about this before.
Yeah.
Like I just don't understand it.
Well,
Yeah.
there's this years ago with old cars. I remember you could take chrome bumpers and you
Right.
could take them to this place, the bumper, and they dip in this vat of stuff, and it's I forget what it's like a green liquid, and it goes in like looking crappy.
It
and
was green. It was
and
green.
it comes
actually, yeah.
out just brand new.
It was green. Yeah.
So that's like chrome.
the one stuff, the oxidized stuff that's pulling, like he's using one element to attract
Like a
another
positive
element.
or negative.
Weird.
Yeah.
Because they'll hang it by wire. The bumpers will hang them by wires and put them in.
Yeah, and then he also had this tool in one of his videos where you can magnetize anything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's just this block, and it says magnetize, demagnetize, and like he to show proof, he rubbed his finger in there and then picked up a screw. I was like, oh my god, this guy's a genius. I was like,
That
how
stuff
does he
is
know
cool,
all this
though.
stuff? I don't
That stuff
know.
is cool. It's so funny how you use things every day, but you don't really understand how they work. But then
Yeah.
they're incredibly complex how they work.
He probably has so much patience because this stuff probably takes him forever, but he's very professional. He has like black gloves so he doesn't touch anything with his fingerprints.
So what does he do? Does he sell it?
Oh no, I'm pretty sure he keeps it.
Really?
I mean, yeah, why wouldn't you?
So his
But, I mean,
channel's how he
I
makes
mean,
money.
he has a Patreon and merchandise and stuff, but each video gets like 1 million plus views. So
It's cool to see what entertains people. And that's interesting. Kind of like that. Getting back to that boat channel that I watch, or I've been watching lately. They're not long, but maybe 10 minutes, but they're really interesting. And in terms
Yeah.
of consuming content,
usually his videos are like 15 to 18 minutes, but I think the best part of it, funny enough, is that he's not talking. It's just
that must be a common thing because I used to watch these woodworking videos, and this one guy, Blacktail Studios, he would throw out an occasional video like that, and he would just have captions. And it was just him chiseling, just him doing.
Also, funny enough, I did not know that isopropyl alcohol could take off like any sticker from anywhere.
takes silly putty out of stuff.
Because usually what he'll do is he'll get these consoles, and half the time they'll just be these, stickers on them from kids putting on the, whatever.
Right.
And all he does is just pour isopropyl alcohol on it, let it sit for a little bit, and then he'll get a little what's the really sharp knife called?
Exacto.
Yeah, he'll get an X-Acto knife and just very
Start scraping
slowly
it.
scrape it away, and it comes off like fully intact and whatnot. Sometimes he'll do that if he wants to keep the back of some of the product stickers on there. He'll take it off and then reuse the exact one.
Oh, weird.
It's crazy.
I remember Calvin had, I think it was silly putty, wasn't it, or something,
Yeah.
or thinking putty or
Yeah.
something like that. And he fell asleep with it in his bed, and it got all over this really nice quilt that we've
Yeah.
got. And she brought it down, and I was like, I don't know, this is ruined. I don't know how you're ever going to get this out. And they got online and said, alcohol takes it off. So I went up to CVS and got alcohol and poured it on there on our stool with a really sharp knife, and it just comes right off.
I think we showed everybody that on the podcast.
Oh, yeah, I think we did.
Yeah, how that works. 'cause
Damnest thing, I
that's
was
a
like,
common
no kidding.
problem.
It was on the Hulk quilt.
The whole
wasn't it?
quilt. Yep.
Yeah, whole quilt. And we got it I remember we got it downstairs on the carpet. I mean, it's been a long time ago, and I cut it out. I couldn't think of any way to get it off. Too bad I
Speaking
can't.
of Avengers
Oh yeah.
and the Hulk.
Did you hear about what happened today
What?
No.
with Disney?
What
No.
happened?
They think I heard on CNBC today. This is the first time they've released box office and streaming data at the same time, the weekend after the release.
And
Oh yeah, it did pretty well,
It was
didn't it?
they did very well, and they said they only do that probably for a reason, to say we're going to do this going forward.
you mean like, so the streaming people
They made $60 million off of the stream
Off the
alone.
streaming.
Yeah.
Well, how long have we been saying we'd pay $30 to
Yeah, I was
watch
like,
the movie?
I don't care. I mean, I'm not going to go to the movies. I'm probably not going to go to the
I'm
movies.
probably one of the few people.
I'd still like to go to movies for.
No, but I mean, like
some-
if it's on a weekend, I'm
Yeah.
not going to go, hey, it's
If I had-
8:30. I'm going to go to the movies.
If I,
No,
if I had a home theater, I would not even bother going to a movie or a movie theater anymore. If I had
Yeah.
a home theater with a projector, I would never bother. I would pay $30.
but see, that goes to, though, this notion, I mean, this universal concept that people want to do things when they want to do them on their time. And I think that is a great example of the more convenient you make it to consume the content, the more content's going to be consumed.
Yeah, I don't think I'm ever. I very rarely now. I'm just like, hey, you want to go see a movie today? It's very much so. Like I bought those tickets 2 weeks ago, so I was like,
Yeah.
okay, today we're seeing Black Widow. Like that's what we're.
But
doing
see, think
Friday
about it.
night.
I took Calvin to go see Kong versus Hulk a few weeks ago. And
Wait,
even
what?
Kong versus Godzilla, not
Oh, yeah.
Hulk. What the hell
Yeah.
am I saying?
That'd be a good movie.
Yeah, it would be a good movie, right? Short movie. But it's like at 2:30, so you got to wait till 2:30. You got to get there. There's 2 people working in the entire freaking place, so you're in line for 10 minutes to get stuff. And I thought, this is, to your point, if I could just pull it up and go, hey, let's watch this today.
Yeah, and then when he gets disinterested halfway through,
Yeah, you can just pause it and.
pause it and come
There's
back
no-
and
I
watch
will
it
say
later.
AMC. I don't know if Regal does this, but AMC just has it down to a T.
No, they do. They
I
have it
can
dialed
walk in. I can walk. They have a service now where you can place your order of concessions online. So all you have to do is walk in, show them your phone with a ticket. They tell you which auditorium you're in. You go pick up your concessions, go to the theater. Boom.
That's awesome. The one thing I dislike
It's expensive,
terribly
but
right now about movies is the assigned seats. I hate that.
they assign seats.
You go to Regal and they go, we have these 2 seats available. It's like,
Yeah.
all right.
I don't
But I mean, it just sucks because you go, okay, again, you make it a little bit more difficult to consume your content. When we went to see 1917 a year and a half ago, it was a joke. I mean, you can't, I got there first and yet every seat's gone. And you go, okay, well, now I'm sitting in the very front. I can't see anything.
Well, yeah. I don't.
And then
mind-
people are kicking you out of seat. You don't know where your seat is.
Right.
I mean, it's just, the whole thing is just stupid.
I don't mind it a whole lot, mainly because AMC has been doing it for so long that. it's
I do
whatever.
like Black Widow. I did like the movie Black Widow.
Yeah,
it
that's
was
where
good.
that's where we're going to talk about Black Widow.
Yeah, it was.
Sorry, I
very,
didn't mean to hijack the conversation.
No, no. it was okay.
It's solid. I enjoyed it more than I thought I would.
Yeah.
People were really harping on it, which is why I was like, this may not be good. But I walked out of it.
So
feeling
is there
pretty
going to be a
solid.
Black Widow series?
No.
Because they said
don't
today
think
on CNBC that it's going to spawn 2
It's
other
gonna- it's
movies
gonna-
and then
it's
like
gonna-
offshoots.
Yeah, I assume that at that Yelena, or spoilers, that Yelena, Natasha's sister, is going to be in the Hawkeye show to some degree, and I'm sure that she'll probably get her own movie at some point with something along with Red Guardian and her mother as well. Like I'm sure something along that will happen.
Speaking of the Red Guardian, the guy that played him, I don't know the guy's name, but
David Harbour.
You talk about a dude that went from rags to riches. I never heard of the guy, and then he's on Stranger Things,
Yeah.
and then he's just been in all kinds of stuff.
He has done.
He's a great actor and he's
Yeah.
very dynamic.
Yeah,
No, but
he's
it's really
done a
cool,
great
though.
job of casting himself. Like when he's playing those characters, he's picked really good roles to
Oh,
do
yeah.
because he fits the roles perfectly.
Yeah.
I mean, like it's really
Yeah.
good.
Good for that
It's
guy.
funny. It's funny though because he's one of those actors that he can be funny, but he can also be really serious and intimidating. So like he has a
Like
wide
range.
range of things he can do.
Yeah,
Um,
I thought his sense of humor in Black Widow was spot on.
I thought, I loved it. The action sequences were really solid.
Yeah, and I
I
thought that
really-
when he was trying to be funny without being funny, it was funny.
Yeah, I
which
thought
is
that.
what I think is really genuine about
Yeah.
that's hard to do.
I thought Black Widow was probably one of the funniest MCU movies I've seen in a very long time, mainly due to Red Guardian and Yelena. The only thing that rubs me the wrong way, and I've talked about this with you guys, is Taskmaster. And then also I was thinking more about it recently, and it wasn't really much so a movie about Natasha or like her send off as Black Widow. It was more about introducing new characters, which I don't know. I feel like Black Widow, she's been in this MCU for so long that she deserves to have that kind of send off after her spoilers, death and Endgame. And so I don't know.
I thought that I thought they could have done maybe a little bit better job of. Sometimes with movies like that, they'll do that for that purpose to introduce characters. So
Yeah.
it's kind of all. It's so. I thought it'd been cooler. They kind of explored their background to say, okay, because they jumped from kind of when they were little kids to where they are now, and you go, okay, but how did they get? They didn't really explore that. And I thought that would have been kind of cool.
And that's what I thought Black Widow was going to be, and that's what everybody thought it was going to be, was them growing
Like a
up
deep
in
dive.
in the Red Room. because like the stuff that goes on in the Red Room isn't good, according
Right.
like when you read the comics, and it could be really really cool if it was explored in a movie.
Get a sense of how
And-
hard they are.
Yeah,
you know?
like it could have been a cool spy espionage thriller that could have been really cool. I'm not saying that the movie is bad in its own form now, but it could have been something greater. I also think that Marvel shot themselves in the foot by releasing it in the timeline that they did, because essentially it's a part of Phase 4, but Black Widow is a Phase 3 and before character, and she dies in Endgame, and it should have come out it should have come out after Civil War, before Infinity War, and I think it would have made her death in Endgame much more impactful.
Did she die in Endgame?
Yeah, because she
don't
does
remember.
is they go to the Red Skull's planet or something. I don't remember the name of the planet. It's we have to basically exchange a soul for the soul.
Yeah,
stone.
remember she jumps off of the.
And so Hawkeye is going to
that now.
exchange his soul, but Black Widow's like, no, I'm going to do it. And then they do kind of a switcheroo, and she ends up diving.
I do
off
remember
the cliff.
that.
Yeah.
I do remember that now.
But I remember watching that, being like, oh, she died. That's sad, but whatever. But watching this and being like, oh man, like that would have sucked. You know what I mean?
It is fascinating to see how these comic genres have just taken over.
Yeah,
I mean, they've got to be the most successful franchises, in recent memory.
they do them well. Kevin Feige's a genius.
It's because it's good versus evil.
Gets paid well.
Yeah.
It's it's a thing that everyone can relate to. It's
And they say that Hollywood's very risk averse, so they'll always go back for the remake or the reboot or whatever, and these are kind of safe.
Well, they know what they're doing. I mean, they've expanded their universe with these shows, and the shows are exploring things that the movies just cannot. And
Sure.
the shows are amazing. I would say that every show has done a very good job. Loki's, the most recent one, is probably one of my favorite ones so far, or is my favorite one so far, next to Falcon and the Winter Soldier and WandaVision.
I never watched WandaVision.
But I mean, I think that it is still good and evil. Like when you boil it down, like yes, it's good and evil. But I think that the fact that they're not afraid to have Thanos win in Infinity War, like he snaps his fingers, half the population goes away. You see some of the Avengers disappear, and then the movie just ends, and you're like, whoa! Like
right.
usually it's the
Happy
Good guy
ending.
wins.
it's the good
Yeah.
guys on top. I remember leaving the theater being like, that was awesome.
Right.
Because I think to a certain degree, many of the people who enjoy those movies get tired of the good and bad, and
Right.
they see it over and over again, and you can very much so predict what's going to happen.
Right.
But see, that's we kind of talked about this last night when you guys came over. That's what made Game of Thrones so good, because life is about tragedy sometimes.
Yeah.
And things don't always work out. I mean, there is
Yeah.
evil that triumphs sometimes,
Yeah.
and it's not, maybe not for forever, but you think about the world events in recent memory, like World War II or some of those terrible things where, at least in the short term, evil did try, they did prevail until, they got that pushback, but things don't always work out.
Right.
There's not always, there isn't always. I remember when I was in grad school doing MBA stuff at IU, there was a girl there from Ukraine, and she's like legit Ukraine, heavy, thick Slavic accent and all that. And she talked about American entertainment. She said American movies always have happy endings, because it's not like that in Ukraine. I mean, so it's interesting how that.
Right.
The cultures are different in that regard.
And I'm glad that there are a few significant deaths in the MCU so far, because there needs to be some kind of consequence.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't want Iron Man back. I don't want Black Widow back. Like, they need to be dead in order for there to be some kind of consequence, and know that these characters can die. You know what I
Right.
mean? So,
Very interesting.
yeah. Big fan of the MCU. Go watch the shows. Fantastic.
Why hasn't
Love the shows.
DC had the same success that Marvel
I have
has?
no idea.
Because I mean,
don't
they're
know.
always kind
I
of second
really
rate.
don't know. They've had years to do it, and I just think that they are trying their own thing, and they are succeeding in their own way, I guess. But they're just not.
Yeah, but they're just not as good.
I know they're not as
Well,
good.
Do
Wonder
they have the
Woman was
depth
the
of
best
character?
one so far.
Yeah, I would
Wonder
agree with
Woman
that.
was good.
Well, the
Wonder
first
Woman-
one was good.
the
The
first
second
one-
was.
Wonder Woman 1984 was god awful.
It wasn't a good story. I
Batman
remember.
versus Superman was bad. Or the Justice League was.
The Spider-Mans have been
Okay.
decent.
Yeah, but they've beat it to death.
That's
Good
the only one that they
Lord.
seem to be able to.
Yeah,
what?
but they just keep-
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man's Marvel.
Oh, Spider-Man's Marvel.
But no, I mean, they just don't. I really don't know why they haven't had the success.
Do they not
that
have the
because
depth
they-
of characters?
Because they could start over and just start from square one and build it up from there. But I just don't. I don't know if they're trying to hold on to what they have now, because Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn is really good. Like, she is made for that character. She's really
Right.
good. Henry Cavill as Superman. I still like Henry Cavill as Superman. I don't think he's been given the script that
The first
he-
one was
he
very
should-
good.
that he should have been given. But I think he could be a really good Superman if directed well and pointed in the right direction.
You want to hear a funny Superman story? Henry, how do you say his last name?
What?
Hey.
Clark Kent?
Yeah, no, I mean, how do you say the guy's real name?
Oh, Henry Cavill.
Cavill. His nephew went.
He's a great actor.
His nephew went to school one day and said, "Yeah, Superman's my uncle." And the teacher's like,
Oh,
"No,
yeah, I've
honey,
read that.
Superman's not your uncle." And it shows dude walking into school with his nephew,
Yeah.
the guy that plays Superman.
Right.
I've
That's cool.
seen
So
that.
yeah,
I've seen
Superman's
that.
my uncle.
Yeah.
That's really, yeah, I've seen that. I mean, Shazam was fine. I mean, they
It was okay.
I did like Shazam.
They just don't interconnect, and I don't know why they don't interconnect as well as they should. I think that some of the execs have just said that we're just doing these solo movies. We don't
We're not
really
trying
have a
to build,
connected.
like,
we're not
a-
trying
yeah.
to
Just
build,
a different
which
strategy.
is fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's okay, but like you're just not going to be as successful as Marvel, and as long as they know that,
This
it's
is
fine.
a stupid question, but is there a particular studio that does these, or is it just like Marvel Studios and then
No, it's
DC
just,
Comics?
it's just DC Comics and then Marvel Studios. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
and I think that they wanted to get to the success of Marvel in such a short amount of time, but I mean, Endgame was a 10-year
Yeah, I mean,
timeline
it's
that you had to build up, and you had to.
Marvel
like,
was
really
first to
invest
market
in-
though.
yeah, you
I
had
mean, they
to-
just were with X-Men all those years ago.
I mean, you had to invest in that, and I'm looking forward to the next 10 years to see what they do with the Fantastic Four and the X-Men and
God,
all of that
Fantastic
stuff.
Four is
It's gonna
better
be-
than the original.
It's gonna be so good. I'm super excited.
Yeah,
Okay, there you have it.
Yeah,
The movie recap.
it was
Yeah.
cool.
All right. Well, guys, we're about out of time.
Yep.
It's 11:50, so we probably got to wrap up.
Yep.
You know?
Don't dislocate your shoulder, and
Don't-
be sure to turn the vent on after you poop.
There you go. Those are your lessons to learn from this week's podcast. Don't
Turn the
forget,
van
you can check us out most Mondays somewhere between 11 and 12. And you can listen to us on any of the places you consume podcasts,
Yep.
right? Okay. I'm Emily King.
I'm Richie King.
And Harrison's off to
To
get behind the
flip the
ones and
switch.
twos to flip the switch. And we'll see everybody next time on Five Boys in a Business.
We're out.